Welcome into the show. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. Chase Sr. here with you. Hope everybody out there is having a fantastic Saturday. Just want to get you caught up on all of the latest happenings around the Niners, especially on the injury front. But before we do that, if you've ever come across this show and you're wondering, I like the content. Chase Sr. does a pretty good job. How can I support the show? It's very easy. Just hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. Be sure to comment, share your thoughts because you have a voice on this show. Subscribe to the channel, share the video, and let your friends and family members that what we're doing here is very special and certainly let them know. We definitely appreciate that. So the 49ers here, this is exciting news for Niner fans. We'll be opening up the practice window for first-round pick wide receiver Ricky Pearsall. That means that he can be activated and play in games any week now. Probably not going to be against the Kansas City Chiefs, maybe not against the Dallas Cowboys in Week 8, but at some point in the upcoming weeks, expect to see Ricky Pearsall in action for the San Francisco 49ers. And this is something that we've been looking forward to for a little while. I was shocked like a lot of other people when the Niners took him with the 31st overall pick. It was a reach in my estimation. He might go out and prove me wrong throughout his NFL career. I just thought there were better players on the board. But with how this Niners offense has struggled in the red zone, how they've struggled to create separation, Ricky Pearsall can give this offense a little bit of juice. Now, how can he help the Niners? He can beat press. He can beat man. He's a really shifty player, really good footwork and route running. He can go up and get it. This is a wide receiver who plays a lot bigger than he actually is. And Kyle Shanahan definitely loves this about the prospect. He is a willing blocker. He is not afraid to block downfield for his fellow wide receivers and also the running backs. He's also a player who's very tough. His dad was a really good college football player. Pearsall started his college career at Arizona State alongside Brandon Ayuk, actually, and then he transferred to Florida. And when you watch him play, the dude plays with swagger, confidence, no fear. I like his contested catch ability. Can he create that separation? He doesn't really have a lot of long speed. He did run pretty well in the 40-yard dash in the pre-draft process, but that short area quickness is something that allows him to create that initial separation off the line of scrimmage. Now, Kyle Shanahan did say this about when we could expect to see Pearsall in the lineup for this Niners offense. He said, most likely I would think it'd be a longer ramp-up period, but health-wise and everything, he's totally good to go. But I really can't decide on that stuff until we start watching him practice. We aren't going to rush it. If he's ready, he's ready. If not, then we have a few weeks. So the Niners have a couple of weeks to activate him to the game day roster after opening up his practice window. But when you think about what Kyle Shanahan had to say there, I don't think it's going to be next week against Kansas City or against Dallas. Maybe it's after the bye week to buy him some time. Don't forget that early in training camp, he had the hamstring injury, he dealt with the shoulder injury, and then he got shot in the chest. As for running back Christian McCaffrey, the reigning NFL Offensive Player of the Year, he will not be returning against the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 7 for the Super Bowl 58 rematch. His health status, dealing with the Achilles tendonitis, is improving, but not enough for the Niners to open up that practice window. So when will we see Christian McCaffrey? It's October 12th on this Saturday. I think as you look forward, I don't see why we're going to see McCaffrey before the month of November. I think that's the most likely time that we see him. And hopefully the Niners are in a spot there with their schedule, with their win-loss record, where they're competing for a playoff spot. And then for that stretch run, they're getting a fantastic player who really impacts their offense from a running standpoint, a pass-catching standpoint, helping out Brock Purdy, but helping out the other weapons on this Niners offense. With Jordan Mason, this is great news, positive news on this front, because as we saw on Thursday Night Football, went down on that shoulder in that first half, was in a lot of pain. He went to the locker room. He came back for one carry in the third quarter, he did a Jordan Mason thing. He ran for like 8-9 yards, but then he went out of the game, couldn't return because he was in too much pain. It is an AC joint sprain. That was one of the injuries that we theorized it could end up being during the watch party on Thursday night. It is, according to Adam Schefter, not believed to be serious, but he's going to get further testing on that injury. On the injury front for the Niners here, this is a little bit of a mini bye because they played on Thursday. They'll have 3 days off before starting their preparations against Kansas City. They have the mini bye. Kansas City has a regular bye, so both teams are going to be rested going into this Super Bowl rematch. So Jordan Mason's status right now, day to day, and what a revelation he's been. What a story he has been. A UDFA who had a really good preseason as a rookie, made the roster, flashed during the preseason during his rookie year, hasn't gotten the opportunity to get a lot of carries his first couple of years in the NFL until this year when Christian McCaffrey got hurt. And not only is Jordan Mason the NFL's leading rusher, he was off to another great start against Seattle, by the way, which would have improved his numbers, but he also leads the NFL in missed tackles forced. He's forced 29 missed tackles, on the season, according to Pro Football Focus. That is 9 more than any running back in the NFL. Of course, he could get a little bit better with his pass protection. He's whiffed on some blocks, and on the Brock Purdy pick to end the game against Arizona, Jordan Mason missed his block. Did Brock Purdy hold on to the ball a little bit too long? Yes, he did, but Mason missed that block, so he has to get better in that area. But in terms of just running the football, very talented and physical runner. I thought that Isaac Guerendo, Patrick Taylor filled in very nicely for Jordan Mason. Isaac Guerendo has so much ability. He's 220 pounds, and in the pre-draft, he ran a 4.3 40-yard dash. Against the Raiders in the preseason finale, when he popped that 93-yard kickoff return, and then with the 76-yard run to really put the game on ice for the Niners against the Seahawks, you see the athleticism. You see some of that long speed. And Bobby Turner, the legendary Niners running backs coach, said he's about an eyelash slower than Raheem Mostert. But they're both similar players with that speed. They're both burners. They're both built physically. And I do think that Guerendo over time can become a really solid player. He started 1 game in his college career. So he's inexperienced as far as being a running back. Part of him only starting 1 game, and it was his final game in college, the bowl game for Louisville last year, was because he was injured a lot, suffered a lot of hamstring issues, but he was a track star in high school who is a speedster, and Dominic Pooney with a great block, by the way, on that long 76-yard run. The rookies really popped against Seattle on Thursday. Kicker Matthew Wright, he separated his shoulder at the end of that game against the Seahawks. This special teams coverage unit, especially on kickoffs, needs to get it figured out. And because of these breakdowns, Jake Moody got hurt trying to make a tackle. Matthew Wright got hurt trying to make a tackle. And Jake Moody's going to be out for the next few weeks because of that high ankle sprain as he bent that awkwardly trying to make that tackle, trying to do his best Ronnie Lott impersonation. It's not Halloween yet, my guy. And then Matthew Wright just fell on that shoulder, and he got hurt. But the x-rays did come back clean, so it is expected that he's going to be able to come back and kick against the Chiefs. He was perfect, 3 for 3 against Seattle, so that was good. But the inability to drive the ball out of the end zone on kickoffs, that's a concern. Because when you have a bad special teams coverage unit and you can't kick the ball out of the end zone for a touchback, you're forced to cover those plays. They lead to explosive plays, game-changing plays, which can really flip the script in a ball game. He also kicks it a little bit low with his field goals. He does not have the strongest leg. You see a noticeable difference between the velocity with how the ball comes off the foot of Jake Moody, who can drill kicks from 60+, and Matthew Wright, but he was accurate. That's all that you ask for. Elsewhere on the Niners injury report, Malik Mustafa, low ankle sprain. He is day-to-day. Matthew Wright, shoulder, dislocated it, but it went back in. Jordan Mason, shoulder, day-to-day. Jordan Elliott, knee injury, should be back at practice this week. He can help the Niners stopped the run, and that's what they did a good job of against Seattle. And then Charvarius Ward, who did not play against Seattle, who said after that Cardinals game, he's playing the worst ball of his career. He is also day-to-day as he continues to deal with that knee injury. I thought that Renardo Green stepped in very nicely. Isaac Yiadom had a pretty good game. Diamador Lenore continues to play like one of the top corners in the National Football League. But the youth movement for the Niners, especially in that secondary, Malik Mustafa, Renardo Green, great sign for this team moving forward. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button here on the Niners Report. Hope everybody out there is having a fantastic weekend. Great coverage to come. You can deal with a stress-free Sunday. Hope you enjoy the NFL slate. Back in the studio on Monday, but plenty of coverage to come all throughout the weekend, including some Niners analysis from myself and Larry Krueger. So be on the lookout for that right here on the San Francisco 49ers Report.